Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be applications that we can apply to our life. We are in Genesis 34, 1 through 31. And we see that this prince loved this girl so much that he raped her. So was it really love or was it just lust? He allowed his actions to be impulsive and evil. This sin that he committed against this young girl affected not only her, but her whole family. Because in this time, if a young girl had been raped or even consented to having sex to somebody before she got married, it would bring shame and disgrace upon her and her family. They considered her to be unclean and that she would not be able to be married again. So then therefore she would have to stay in her father's house and be put away for the rest of her life. Don't allow the passion to spill over into something evil. Passion must be controlled. Now, this sexual act was a sin, but it was no more sinful than any other sin that we could commit. But the problem with sex is that it not only affects us, but it affects somebody else, and then it spills over to and affect those two families. In this case, he rapes the girl, and the consequences was more than he could ever imagine. It cost him his life and the life of his people. Now, Simon and Levi were outraged at the fact that their sister had been raped. Very understandable. They wanted justice. They just went the wrong way about doing it. So Simon and Levi caused pain, deceit, and murder in trying to get the revenge that they wanted. They lied and used the circumcision as a way to get the upper hand, because right after surgery, people are sore and it's hard to move. It's hard for us to defend ourselves. And Simon and Levi alone took this upon themselves to take advantage and kill not only the prince, but all of his people. So all of his people suffered because of one choice of one man to rape somebody, to not control his lust. But then you have the rage of two men to wipe out a whole nation, a whole group of people. So when we have been wronged, when we want to get even or take revenge on somebody else, we need to stop and think about those consequences. They may be more than what we can bear. We have to pray to God. Now, it doesn't make it right that Jacob's daughter was raped. It doesn't make it right that all of this prince's people were killed for his mistake. But Jacob, we'll see later on, that when Jacob's on his deathbed, that he curses Simon and Levi. And both of them will lose their allotted land in the promised land because of this decision that they made. And we will read this in the next chapter. So we can't repay evil for evil. It's a hard thing to try to pray for somebody that did something wrong to you. But that's what God asks us to do, because God is just and fair in everything that He does. And He will take care of that. And He would probably handle it in ways much better than we could ever imagine. Now, it never tells us if Jacob had planned to do anything when he had found out that his daughter had been raped. If Jacob had reacted sooner, maybe the situation wouldn't have happened. We don't know if Jacob was just going to let it go or not. But that's not how the story went, because Jacob's son never gave him the opportunity to handle it in his way to see if he would handle it godly or not. I'm thinking at this point, Jacob was so close to God, he would have prayed and would have let God handle this. But that never came. And of course, there's consequences. And usually once we do something, there's always going to be consequences. We can ask for mercy, we can ask for grace. But sometimes the consequences are more than we can bear. And it not only affects us, but it'll affect our children and our grandchildren down the road. So let's just think about it before we try to go with whatever our passion is, or before we try to take revenge. We just need to pray and give it all to God. May God be with you in everything and in every way.